call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Blunier.
Here.
Leach.
Here.
Lehman.
Here.
Menold.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
Parrott.
Here.
We have a quorum.
You join me in Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no public hearings or presentations or special reports. Anyone like to speak on the public?
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. Lee Ann Brown with the Morton Chamber of Commerce and Morton Economic Development Council. Certainly a fun Monday to be standing here after our reimagined 54th Pumpkin Festival. And just want to make a few comments to say thank you to our entire community. We were pleasantly surprised by just the incredible support. We want to thank everybody for their patience. Doing a reimagined and a lot of new creative layouts and new venues. It was an interesting challenge at times, but I think between all of our volunteers and the coordination between many our leadership teams, we pulled off a very safe and fun and memorable, certainly, reimagined festival. So thank you again to Libby's, our Nestle plant, for making our entire reimagined festival happen. And some fun highlights. We still served about 1,800 quarts of pumpkin ice cream. We served about just under 1,100 quarts of chili. Certainly the cooler temps, I think, had chili being the hot commodity. And with our pumpkin TV channel, new this year and made possible by Yamashin, our sponsor for that, we had over 8,000 U.S. viewers, and we had 8 countries representative tuning into our pumpkin TV channel. So certainly thanks to the village, we were able to work on making sure that was on channel 22 and channel 23 as well. So thank you again to everyone for helping us bring forth our Reimagined Festival. We certainly were not going to select the cancel button, and we certainly didn't. So we look forward to wrapping up and moving through our give back and continuing to celebrate the impact of our Reimagined Pumpkin Festival. On another note, more so through the EDC, the state DCO late last week opened up round 2 for the big grants, the business interruption grants. There is $220 million available in this round. More than half of that will be allocated outside of Chicago. Most businesses and industries are eligible this round. Their first round, they had distressed areas, and then late in the game, they opened it up for a few select industries. And so this year, they have a much more open process. Pretty much all businesses qualify for this one. In the first round, I know they awarded out $49 million to about 2,800 businesses. Most businesses were receiving between $10,000 and $20,000. The payouts are based on revenue losses and or expenses over the last 2 months, and grants can range from $5,000 to $150,000. There's a lot of criteria that goes with it. We have all that information. We've sent out a few emails, so feel free to call our office. And we're happy to walk you through that process. But we know businesses have already received the first round, and definitely something to look at and work through as a business owner. So any questions, email or call us, and we're happy to help businesses walk through that one. Thank you.
Thank you. The consent agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of September 8th, 2020. And the approval of the bills. If we could have a motion.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Menold.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
will come back to me. I think Joel might be here. So, village clerk,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
village administrator.
I have one item tonight, Your Honor. The Business District Commission has asked for approval of a grant for Clayton Monfrey, who owns a Perfect Promotion at 113 North Main Street. Clayton is proposing to remove old siding. He's going to paint, replace siding, and windows along the front. The total project cost is $19,560, which would qualify him for a grant of $9,780.
Could we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the grant.
Second.
You have any other comments or
Not on this one. I'll have another
Okay.
comment after we vote.
any comments, Ms. trustees? Call the roll.
Leach.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Mennel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the only other thing I would bring up is that we had another applicant, Bridget Carr. Bridget is going to be opening up a bakery near the plaza. However, most of the items that she had on her application were interior items. The building improvement grant only approves code-required interior improvements, and you have to have a minimum of $1,000. Well, that was code-required was less than $1,000 of what she had. So I've reached out to her. She's looking to see. There are some things she needs to do she hadn't included because she's trying to get open, so she didn't want to wait. So I don't know if she'll bring her application back or not.
Okay, all right, thank you. Chief of Police.
I just had one thing tonight, Your Honor. Just wanted to update the board that the police department will be doing their Beards for Charities for the second time in a row. Last year we donated over $2,000 to local charities, and we look to do that again this year. The officers really enjoy it, and it gives us an opportunity to give back to some great charities in the area. So.
Okay, thank you. Corporation Counsel.
One item tonight, Your Honor, that is ordinance 21-19, which is an ordinance making amendments regarding rules and regulations for the use of village parking lots and outdoor gathering spaces to Title 8 of the Morton Municipal Code.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
This ordinance was brought to you in a slightly different form at last meeting. It is a general extension of rules and regulations that apply to Memorial Plaza, to other spaces within a village which we might anticipate allowing individuals to reserve from time to time for private events or gatherings, and includes important protections for the village and some rules and regulations of what people can and can't do in those spaces.
Any comments? Call the roll.
Lehman.
Yes.
Mennel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Director of Public Works.
Yeah, two items tonight, Your Honor. First is announcement, and any questions that you might have for the fall of 2020 yard waste disposal program. We plan to open it Saturday, October 24th, and we'll run through Sunday, December 6th, open daily from 8 to 5. So pretty much same time frame as last year.
Same rules.
Same rules.
Okay.
So, any questions? All right. Item 2 in front of you, item B is resolution 10-21. This is IDOT resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. This is basically to authorize the use of MFT funds. This is that time of year, October, for IDOT's fiscal, which would be January 1st, 21 through December 31st, 21. And this would be for $200,000 or 300 ton at this point. So I'd like to
We have
ask
a
for
motion.
approval.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Mennel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll move back up to me. I guess Joel isn't going to make it here, so I'll just do it from here. First resolution regarding murals at 101 West Jefferson Street in Morton, Illinois. Resolution 9-21. Do you have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? These are the 3 murals we put on the old drugstore there at the corner, the real estate office there at the corner of Jefferson and Main. Had an opening last Friday. So, call the roll.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Menold.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I'd ask Leanne Brown with the Chamber to make some comments. Tell us about them.
Yeah, because we had nothing else to do last week, we decided that we should celebrate murals. Really, this stems back, as we shared at the ceremony on Friday, stems back to the 2011 Downtown Redevelopment Plan and a lot of conversations throughout the years, and then led to most recently with our beautification committee through the chamber, and then also a couple committees through the EDC for placemaking, quality of place for our community. And then certainly when we move through the history project of trying to identify and capture Morton's history through our families and businesses, the idea came forth of updating a Morton collage. And during that time, we started looking at spaces around our community, and especially downtown, for mural locations. And we quickly identified Coldwell Banker Building along Main Street as one of the spaces, and started to have conversations, plant the seed with several people and businesses to try and formulate a collaboration. And quickly, we identified Connie Andrews, a Morton artist, who was very interested to learn more and be a part of the project. At that time, we looked at, instead of ordering materials, we want to use a local business. So we turned to Parker Fabrication and Morton Industries and sat down and had a strategy session on design. Parker Fabrication moved forward with the design. They were actually interchangeable bracket system that they built for us. And then we reached out to Best Made Signs, Ben Camacho, who printed the murals up for us. And an in-between step, we reached out to Wassey Group, and they had to digitalize the murals. Connie painted them on boards. And so we had to figure out how to scan those boards and digitize so we could print them at a 5x10 instead of a 12x20. So it was just an amazing project of a lot of Morton community businesses, and then coming to the village to figure out the mural process. I know we had to change some things in the ordinance and zoning based on the location. And we quickly came together and talked through the project, and it was just an incredible collaboration between all of us to make this mural project happen. If you haven't seen the murals yet, one of them is Pastime of the Main Street intersection. The middle one is a Morton collage of our businesses, and then the third panel is Present Time of Main Street. So it was a great celebration to be able to reveal those during our Roaring Pumpkins and all that jazz. And as I mentioned, they're interchangeable. So we plan on, over the years, hopefully we'll have more murals throughout our community that we can rotate the murals signboards and or change them out, auction them off, put them other places, lots of options to come. So just thank you to the village, mayor, board, and staff for working through that process and making it a reality.
Thank you, Leanne. It truly was a success story with all the Morton people participating. And Brad did an excellent job blocking 2 lanes of traffic.
You know, if I might,
You go ahead.
standing there blocking traffic for 20 minutes was, that was a great, enjoyable experience, watching the unveiling of these collages or murals. And so I'm standing there looking at them, especially the center one, and there's so much in there. There's just so much in that if you have time to stand in front of it and look at it. and artwork amazes me anyway. How does artists know when enough is enough, you know? But there is so much in that, and it is amazing. And thank you for your part, Leanne, and your efforts in doing that, because it's a great addition to our community.
Yeah, I actually just saw this morning, father and his son, they were out on their bike, and they parked their bikes and were standing there pointing at the murals. So it's neat to see.
And I walked my dog that night before, and at 8:30, 9 o'clock, they were still putting the frames up. So we had some real cooperation from a lot of people. Yeah. So me and Cody don't miss much. Second item I have is Resolution 1121, resolution approving the intergovernment agreement with the Morton Park District for the transfer of 420 East Washington Street. If we could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
This is I call it the old way station building there at the corner of Washington and 4th. Story behind that, myself and Craig Laudermilk, Director of Public Works, had a meeting with Ameren, and Craig reminded me before the meeting they were going to spend several millions of dollars in Morton, improving Morton's electric and that. So we worked it out where they had to go down 4th Street, but they needed a place to connect their lines and support them. Craig can describe it probably better. So we told them to buy that property, and they said, we don't normally buy property. I said, well, you buy it and donate it to Morton. And they go, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to tear it down with business district, clean up the site, and give it to the park district. And they said they'd do it. So it was really a group effort, and now we have it cleaned up. The sidewalks are installed. My granddaughter told me, she goes, Grandpa, whenever we run track, we always got to run out the road because that sidewalk isn't there. So the sidewalk's in, the foundation's gone, grass is mowing. So that neighborhood will have I think it's 3/4 of an acre park right there in its neighborhood, and we'll have good sight view on that corner. So I think it's a great addition to the community, but there's just a little story behind it, and they helped Morton out, and we helped them. We had the location for them, so all things worked good there. So any comments or questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Just mentioned to Director of Public Works about the increasing the radius for that corner at this intersection, so that when we create the plat or whatever, that we might increase the radius to allow a truck coming north on South 4th, if it needs to turn on Washington Street, that's kind of a tight turn, if we could put in a radius that would allow a truck or a fire truck. I assume someday we'll have a fire station somewhere on the south end of town, and if it has to come and turn right on Washington, I think we need to make it an easier turn.
Okay, I'd asked Craig about that, but kind of forgot where we left that.
Well, and I talked to Trustee Leach here before the meeting, and I mean, my recommendation was that, you know, we redo the plat, just do a plat of survey. It should be fairly simple. Maybe not do the work yet,
Right.
But at least reserve the space if we need to do that. And then I had asked him that, you know, worst case,
Right.
we run some turning templates and see what's needed on there,
Right.
you know, if it's justified.
Okay.
You know, that property, when I was a young man, I used to go in there to get corn. There used to be a grain elevator, and I got a lot of memories back as a young man. What it was, and what it's become. Another great addition to our village.
Yep.
Getting that cleaned up finally, and so.
Yep, and no businesses on that side of 4th. You know, it's all neighborhood. Kind of kept it to this side.
If I could, just clarification, Greg, basically you're just saying you would like to reserve sufficient right-of-way to do something in the future if you...
Yeah, Trustee Leach had approached me and asked me, and I mean, my recommendation
Yeah,
was
that's fine.
now would be the time to maybe just, it shouldn't take a whole lot, because we did a lot of work there with Ameren on easements and stuff, to maybe just reserve, you know, chamfer that right-of-way there, and at least we would reserve some additional right-of-way up at that corner. So maybe come up and just allow us to do that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, reserve the right-of-way, but I personally can't see there's an issue there. I mean, for as few trucks that might move through that intersection in that direction, you can run over the curb. you know, if a fire truck's coming through or whatever, but I guess with what's been done there now, I can't see redoing it at this point. Unless there's some improvement down the road.
And that was my discussion with, I think we kind of agreed that let's just reserve, let's make sure we got a plat that gives us a little extra room, and then we would, bring that to you guys if we ever did do that in the future.
That answer all the questions? I'll call the roll.
Parrot,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Menold,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's all I have. We'll move down to the trustees. Trustee Bloomer, have anything?
Tonight.
Trustee Leach, I see.
A couple items, Your Honor. Last meeting talked about attitude towards potentially giving a rebate back to our gas customers. I included in the packet a list, so I'm going to kind of explain what it is. I think it's self-explanatory, but we have 4 different types of gas customers in the village, and because of that, we have 4 different gas service charge fees each month. When you get gas, you pay for the gas, but you also pay the service charge. I listed out the total revenue that we get for those service charges, and then I listed the number of customers that we have for each of those type of gas meters. So the total that my recommendation would be, if you don't have any, if you're for or against it, but is to, during the month of December, rebate back to our customers the $58,097.94. If it's agreeable, then I would have corporate counsel write the resolution for our meeting next month, first meeting next month to do that. But it's my recommendation that we do this in December, and it's not a check that we have to send out. We would just change the charge on the bill to 0 for that gas service charge. It's not difficult to do. Just have to change it the 4 times. So anyway, discussion, questions, thoughts?
I guess my thought is that it's a very token gesture. $8 for a residential customer is, I think it's insignificant.
I guess my statement, I understand that it could be considered insignificant, but at this stage, my statement would be is that at least we leave it in their checking account rather than putting it in ours.
I feel the same way. I think it's insignificant. It's a lot of effort for what you're doing, and I would be against doing this.
I'm guessing by silence, then remove it, and it won't be on next month.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with that. It's a great gesture. It's a nice gesture, but I don't know that it does enough to be worth the effort of doing.
Yeah, I guess my statement again is that you talk about effort. I don't think it requires much.
No, we would go into our system. There's a master set of rates that get billed when the bills are calculated. So we would go in for that month and change that service charge rate to 0 for all the customers. Initially, we had talked about doing it based on usage. That would have been a lot of work because we would have had to find a way to put that credit on every bill. But by changing just the service charge, it's probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes work for that to be done. So, and then to change it back afterwards.
I have a question.
Sure.
Since we, as a village owner, own gas service, by and large, would you say that what people pay per month for heating, given an identical house in another town, do they pay more or do we pay more?
They pay less.
They pay less?
Yes, than Ameren.
I
And
think-
I think that was,
No, we pay less than
we
Ameren?
pay less than Ameren,
Okay.
yes. Now, Ameren is a little flatter, okay? They try to make it a little flatter where we're usually cyclical with rates. So there might be some times of the month, but over the course of a year, we are, I mean, I need to do another, I usually grab a bill from somebody else in Morton. We've had some employees at the village. It was easy to do just kind of a summary of their bill versus ours, but yes, we are less than Ameren.
Just as example, Ameren's service charge for residential, I live in an Ameren area, so it's like $11.91 a month. So you're over $3 a month cheaper just by the service charge.
But overall, you would be cheaper.
Rates usually are cheaper too.
And could you just briefly remind everybody of what we use the gas funds for, the surplus?
Obviously, operation and maintenance of the system is a big one. And then, obviously, you know, we're saving for future projects. You know, water, wastewater, we're a little more detailed as far as what those are for. You know, we've got 13 million in there, in the gas fund. I can't say that we have $13 million to spend over the next, you know, 5 or 10 years. But I also, it's a little riskier business also. So those are things that we look at, focus on that, you know, don't usually share with the public, but you see when there's incidents, stuff like that. So having multiple layers of insurance, I think that's a good thing. I think we've discussed previously with some of our consultants that having 10 million in the bank is not a bad thing for the gas fund. I'm not claiming to be an expert there.
We're part of the Gas Utility Alliance, which is a group of small utility companies. I can't remember the number, but if I remember correctly, they said the cost of one life in a gas incident is like $6 million. We do have insurance for that, but if you had a horrific accident, our insurance could not maybe cover it all. So you just want to have a fallback, fail-safe amount of money setting aside that you can fall back on.
I see what Trustee Leach is trying to do, and I think it's admirable. I just wondered, in the scope of things, what did 6 million mean? What did 13 million mean? And so, is it something that is better to continue to build for future unexpected situations?
I think at some point, yeah, you question it. I mean, for instance, you know, we have an 8-inch line, 5.6 miles into town that serves Morton. It is in right of way. IDOT's looking to expand that. That is something where we could have to come up with, you know, probably in the tune of $4 million to replace because IDOT makes us do it. So at some point, yeah, there's too much in there. I think I'm comfortable with what we have in there today, and I don't feel bashful about what's in there. I can be honest with that.
Okay.
I'm very proud over the last 10 years that it's increased from 3 to 13 million. But I'm not going to argue with Trustee Leach that you can't give some of those back too. But I'm proud of what's in there. I think credit given to staff and our system. We're fortunate to be in the position we're in. That 13 million would be sitting in some CEO's pocket somewhere, and people own it. It's there to be used. Will we use it? Yes, but we have a very conservative. I would encourage everyone to go meet Scott Stidman, Jeremy Cook, Eric Schmidgall. I can name them all off. That's about it. You know, I mean, there's a couple more in there, and then the water guys. I mean, we're running with 7 guys right now. There's no one that can touch what we do, but that's where a lot of your savings is from, because we operate with, you know, really 4 guys right now in the gas. You know, this week we've put in 10,000 foot, you know, of gas main directional boring. What we do, there's not many people that do what we do, but you know, very conservative. I would say on the verge of frugal. We could spend that money for sure. Most people probably wouldn't even know what we spend it on. There's things we could do out there, but we're very proud of what's in there, and I mean, I hope it remains. I hope we don't get to a point where we get that down to $5 million. I'll be a little nervous. I'd like to keep it at 10, but that's what you guys need to decide too. So, but it is the people's money, so I'll always say that. So
Right. And then just one last comment. If you were to do it, what amount seems justifiable or, to do if you were to rebate? You said it was insignificant. What number would you look at to say would be significant?
So in my opinion, you're gonna make my gas bill, instead of saying $8.64 or whatever it says, zero. Is there gonna be an explanation for that, or is it just gonna be zero? And if there's no explanation, then I'm saying over 90% of people won't notice anyway. I don't look at all those lines when I pay my gas bill.
Well,
And so, again, I think that a bigger question is, where are we at with the gas fund, and what are our plans going forward, and what is the reasonable amount of money that should be in there? And like I said to you one other time, maybe it should be $500,000. I don't know, but I don't know that we have broached that subject and just arbitrarily say $58,000. I just think we should not do it.
Okay, I understand what you said. I guess the question is, what amount would be significant?
Until we do the legwork and do the research, I think nothing.
Okay, when you say what information do you need, because you get a monthly expenditure and budget, that it tells you what was there last month. So do you want me to do it specifically for you?
Not for me.
Okay.
My point is, the trustees should decide if there's an overabundance of funds or not. That's my point.
And that's what I'm asking. I didn't say that it's my decision. That's why I'm asking. And I was told that it was insignificant, and that's why I asked what would be significant.
I guess I'll take a stab at that, and probably not answer quite as directly as you'd like and give you an exact dollar number. But I think I believe, just doing kind of simple math, okay, if you tripled all those numbers, well, that triples that 58,000, and then you start to creep up into the area where I don't feel comfortable taking that back out of the gas fund until we have, and we need to work together to kind of create. We've done it for the water and wastewater, have almost a master plan of, okay, here's the next 20 years. Here's what we see, having, and and Craig, mentioned, having the $10 million in reserve. I think that's fantastic that we have a large reserve there, because, as you say, there's lots of items that, not to go into details of stuff, but stuff, if it goes wrong, it goes way wrong, and we want to have that there to take care of that. And so you start raising that $58,000 to $158,000 or $300,000. Then you start, okay, well, how much are we going to deplete that money or not continue to fill it up? And I'm sure there is a point where you get to okay, here's the things we have the next 20 years. Here's our reserve. Aside from that, okay, now we have this much left over. Okay, at that point, maybe then you say, okay, with that much left over, maybe then you give some of that back. But I don't know that these numbers would be significant enough to make a difference, and I don't feel comfortable going much above these numbers, taking out the gas fund, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, then the other item I have is Ordinance 2120 regarding the elected official compensation. I put in there that it would change the trustees from $100 a month to $125 a month, or $1,200 a year to $1,500 a year. And then for the president, who we call mayor, would be from $8,000 to $12,000, and I think there's something. think it's supposed to be 10,000 that written.
Yeah, the
part.
second, the 8,000, I think is supposed to be 10,000.
Right,
Current salary is $8,000.
right. And where it says
Okay,
12,000
the first
and underlined and bold,
Got to be 12 down here. I just-
right.
No, the 10,000 is the amount of the bond. The 12,000 is the proposed amount of village president compensation.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't look that close at that. Because I was going up 25%, and 25% of 8 would be 10,000, wouldn't it?
Yeah, my apologies.
That's okay. So it would say 10. Anyway, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 21-20.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a question. This would take effect the 2021. So if for instance, if I vote on and I don't get reelected, I have to be reelected in order to get this.
Correct. There's 3 people here who would not get it in 2021. That'd be Trustee Newman, Trustee Menold, and myself. For these positions to get it, you'd have to run for office again. You can't provide a pay raise for yourself in your current term.
Right.
So the only trustees that would get it would be yourself, Trustee Parrott, Trustee Blunier, and Trustee Lehman, and then Mayor Kaufman, because he's up for re-election this next year.
I'd like to correct you, but that would include, it'd be Trustee Lehman, myself, and Trustee Parrott
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry.
that are up for re-election in the spring.
I thought, oh, so it was you that ran when I did. I'm sorry.
I want you to give me the money.
Right. I'm sorry, Ken.
We're all
Yeah.
running.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to clarify that we're not voting ourselves
Correct.
a raise.
Right.
Well,
Only if you-
we'd
only
have
if
to-
you run.
Only if we run.
Right.
But everyone would go up May 1st, all the trustees.
No,
No.
it only applies, you can't increase your term, you can't vote to increase your salary during your term of office, so you'd have a period of 2 years where 3 trustees are at one rate,
Okay.
and 3 trustees are at the prior rate. One point of clarification, Trustee Leach, I understood your motion to be the hard copy, or the electronic copy that was circulated in the agenda had the village president's rate at $12,000 per year, and you corrected that to be $10,000. Your motion would be the ordinance with that amendment noted of $10,000 for village president's compensation,
Right.
correct?
One more. Could you kind of talk about why to bump this up?
Well, there's a couple things that I would say. At this job, there is some people who would say it's not worth it for $1,200 a year, and do you start to make a change to see can you attract other people to run for these positions in the future? It's probably the first reason why I would say that. The second one is just knowing the amount of time that you need to take to do the job well. I don't know, it's been at this rate, I know, over 25 years, I don't know how far back it goes. It's never been changed, so from that, I guess I would say that you're worth $125 a month, Nate.
Well, I think I'm worth more.
I agree.
How does this compare to? And I haven't looked at it. How does this compare to other villages, cities? I mean, I have no idea what others.
We pay ourselves a paltry sum compared to a lot of communities. That includes us and the mayor's position.
I feel strongly against this, and maybe easy for me to say because it doesn't have anything to do with me, which is fine. I thought this was a voluntary job when I agreed to run, and I'm good with that. I don't know that attracting people because of the compensation is what we want. We want people to serve our community. In this position, not because of the money. Some of us spend more time than others at this job just because of the responsibilities we have. I know the mayor spends a lot of time. But I know how I feel when other political groups vote pay raises, and I don't like it, and I think the timing is such that we should not do this.
I would second Brad on that, Trustee Minold on that. And I think timing with COVID, sure, we're not talking about a large amount of money, but to some, I guess it could be. But the same thing, I guess I would say, is this is for me, it was a voluntary position that I wanted to serve, but I know that's the same, I'm sure, similar for many, if not all. But I think the other thing is to consider the timing right now is not good. So I mean, there's businesses that will not make it out of this, and for them to think that we're giving ourselves a pay raise, whether or not it's, even though it's not during our term, it's how it's interpreted as well. And so I don't think it'll be interpreted well. So I will not be voting in favor.
I talked with Trustee Leach about this in advance, and the way he conveyed it to me was not so much the additional pay to draw people in for the pay. It was more to compensate them for the time they spent. And I will say that the mayor has his own business, and he spends more time than I've ever seen anybody spend on a second job in this business. If there's anybody that deserves an increase in pay, it's the mayor. We really don't. I think it's a nice thing, and that's really what Trustee Leach was talking about, because he spends so much time at this and he sees it through his lenses, and I agree with him. He spends a great deal of time, and others do too. But I really don't think it was to draw people in for the pay. Just to clarify, that's not the way he conveyed it to me, but it's the way it kind of sounded tonight. So I just wanted to clarify that.
One point of clarification for the board: you have to adopt, if you're to change the rate of pay for elected officials, it has to be adopted not less than 6 months before the election, after which it's to take effect. So if any trustees have, if this ordinance were to fail tonight, but if any trustee had a desire to propose something in the alternative, not advocating for any of you to do that, but understand that there's a time deadline, essentially by next meeting, whether up, down, or any change at all would have to be adopted by your first meeting in October to be timely.
If, I'll make a couple of comments. It's, in my years of experience, I think the meetings are tougher, the questions are harder, and there's more responsibility today. It's hard to tell people no, because the easy development of Morton is done. The issues with so many things are tough. So it's kind of embarrassing for the mayor to keep asking different ones to come to meetings for $100 a month. I'll be honest, I think the trustee pay is low, regardless of the mayor. But if you weren't going to do this, I think maybe just a stipend for trustees to go to meetings, extra ones. And the reason for that is simple. The staff wears several hats. They can't wear any more. So what I did, for example, with the police department, to help the new police chief, I had Trustee Leach go to one of the meetings concerning the towers and different things. So our new police chief didn't have to go just to meetings in Pekin all the time. I wanted him to spend his time running the department. We are 4 officers down, and we have been for some time, and it'll probably be several months before we get more. That's just the latest example. So I've given this a lot of thought. I think if it would be appropriate just to have a extra meeting charge, if they want to take it. They don't want to take it, that's fine, to go to these extra meetings, because these extra meetings that I've asked different ones to say, and one was on a Saturday, was a tough 2-hour meeting. It worked out good for everybody, but sometimes it's hard to make things happen correctly for the town until you sit there and go through those meetings. And I kind of like to have trustees, different ones, sitting there, so when we go to executive session or anything, it's easy to explain It's not just Jeff's opinion or what happened. You know what I mean? It's verifiable. So I would say, if nothing else, I would like to see something done with the trustees, just for that reason. But if not, that's fine too.
I recommended to Mr. Leach that a per diem per required meeting would be acceptable. I've been on a lot of board of directors in my life, and a per diem for special meetings would make sense. And if you're going to, if there's a lot of special ones like the one in Pekin or such, that should be something extra. I would be in favor of that. But for all of us, and so I spoke of that also.
I think I like that idea as well. I think that would be fair, for the extra above and beyond, because as Trustee Melt said, I don't think any of us are doing this for the pay. It's
I would
as it
agree.
is, even the increase thing, it's not changing any of our lifestyles. But I think it would be nice, if there's extra meetings, one of us goes to, or multiple of us go to. I think that'd be fair to have a per
Because in
diem.
all fairness, sometimes these extra meetings just happen quickly, and everybody's busy, and I try to grab somebody that's available.
And if that person chooses not to accept it, then they just
Right, they have to
don't.
turn it in.
Yeah.
See, through conversation, we always get things done. I would like to still visit increasing the compensation of the mayor on a separate issue, because he spends a great deal of his personal time doing this, and I think he, compared to other mayors, he's not even in the ballpark. So let's put him in the ballpark.
I would agree with that. Very much so.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the table. Do you want to vote on that? Come back to it? Amend the motions? Amend the motion for the
Can we
trust?
amend, Pat, maybe tell it, and I
Yeah,
don't
Pat, you
want to
explain
speak
it.
for everybody else, but perhaps we amend keep the mayor, or have the increase to the mayors, and then do you feel that if we want to just leave the trustees where it's at and do the per diem for the trustee, can we do that?
So you have an ordinance before you. You could amend a motion. You could also make a motion, table it, and I could bring back an ordinance to you next month that would still be timely, that would address both issues. The adding a per diem is more complicated than it seems, because what is a compensable meeting? Being paid a salary every month, you don't get into whether Craig calls you to come look at a problem on the street as a meeting versus you met with the developer versus you met with the mayor and you met with Julie. How many people have to be there? How long does it have to be? What has to be the discussion? So I've written ordinances of that style before, and I'd be happy to share language. But if that's your desire, that probably is something that would not lend itself well to an amendment tonight. And I would more suggest tabling it. And I can come back with an ordinance that addresses, both issues. I'd also be happy to bring an ordinance back to you that addresses the mayor and the trustee compensation separately, because people have expressed, while they can be in the same ordinance, people have expressed differing conclusions on those issues. And if I bring them back to you in two ordinances, it may lend itself better to a vote where people could take different positions on those issues. So the short answer is I would probably prefer you table it as opposed to trying to amend in light of what you've discussed.
I think that sounds agreeable.
But if we do the per diem, or if you would like an ordinance on the per diem, I'm glad to share language, which I have. But because we'd be up against our deadline meeting, I'll get the language out to trustees in advance of the meeting, and I'd welcome feedback if and as you have the opportunity before the meeting to tell me whether you think the language I'm using is sufficient to address what is and what isn't a compensable meeting.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why I didn't go that route, is because I've thought, how do you define what is a meeting that you get compensation for, and how do you decide? So it's, that's why I did it. I thought this would just be easier that way, but that's fine. And you can vote down. I mean, I don't care. We can vote on it. And if it fails, you guys can instruct Pat what you'd like to have him do.
I'm
Well-
pretty sure the county board does. I shouldn't.
They
For,
do.
for special meetings, they are compensated
They do.
per meeting.
I made a phone call. So the motion's on the floor, so we either have to have it withdrawn or we vote on it. Or
Your
table.
motion, in the absence of somebody you can make a motion to amend, I've suggested against that.
Did
or
we
you
have
can.
a second?
Yeah, Ken Newman, trustee Newman.
So you can, motion to amend or motion table is a priority motion, which we vote on first. If it were to receive a second, in the absence of either of those motions, we would vote on trustee Leach's motion, which received its second. And as trustee Leach suggested, if it's voted down, it doesn't prevent us from having another ordinance brought forward next meeting.
Right.
So if we want to table it, we motion to table it?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
motion to table it. Okay.
Second.
Having received a second, not to step on your honor's toes or the clerk's,
No.
but we need the vote called on the motion to table, and that would be our first vote. And only if that fails would we return to the substantive action.
Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Leach.
Yes?
Lehman.
No.
Menold.
No.
Newman.
No.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
3-3.
Kaufman.
Yes.
The motion to table is approved.
So I will prepare a revised version of the ordinance and circulate it in advance of the next meeting on the basis of feedback received tonight. And if any trustees have different versions or alternative preferences, you're free to contact me at any time, and I'd be glad to work with you on any other changes you'd like.
All right, does any other trustee have anything tonight?
I just wanted to commend Leanne Brown and your efforts for the Pumpkin Festival. Thank you, and your team and all involved. I think what a tough position to be in, and thank you for your efforts.
I want to say something as well to Leanne and also your team. You know, it's I think what was so neat was the passion behind it. I think you and your team, yes, there's a lot of effort, but at the same time, I think it was done with passion. I think you enjoyed doing what you were doing, and I think it represented our town well. So it helped us all remind us, you know, we love our community that we're a part of. So thank you.
Each event was different. Each event was outstandingly put together. That was quite, how you pulled that off, I don't know, but that was quite something. So, thank you. Any other trustee have anything to say?
Just
All right.
a closed session, Your Honor.
Yep. So if we have a motion to close session,
Closed session is requested tonight for the purpose of discussing collective negotiating matters between the village and its employees or their representatives per 5 ILCS 120/2C2.
do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Need to roll call that actually.
Up, roll call.
Lehman.
Yes.
Menold.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Parrot.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.